Hello, I'm Dr. Sarah DeFrancesco, and today we're talking about stress. So, this is one of the biggest contributors to chronic health conditions, and honestly, people are way too hard on themselves. We have way too much going on, and we all need to get this under control. So, here's the deal with what's happening with stress. First of all, you need to get a good night's sleep. If you don't get a good night's sleep, then you are completely throwing off your stress hormone cortisol. Cortisol is meant to spike in the morning. It's actually what wakes you up, and it actually helps to correct your immune system. And then it should drop off, become lower in the afternoon, and be lowest between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. This is the ideal time to go to bed because when your cortisol is low, your melatonin will rise. So you can think of cortisol and melatonin as opposing each other on a scale. And cortisol is like the sun, melatonin is like the moon. So when your cortisol is nice and low, now your melatonin can come up and your body knows that it's time to go to sleep, and you'll have a nice restful sleep. And that means falling asleep easily and staying asleep throughout the entire night. This sets you up for success the next day because now your cortisol and your melatonin are in rhythm. So what can happen here is if we have a lot of stress in our life, that causes our cortisol to spike during the day. And eventually that can lead to a problem where our cortisol is higher at night. So you might feel anxious during the day and then tired at night, but sort of wired and wanting to keep going with your day, whether that means keep working or stay up and get the kids' lunches packed or, grab some time for yourself because that might feel like the only time that you have to do it. But the problem with this is if we stay up late, then we are just perpetuating this stressful cycle. So my top 3 tips to lower stress are: number 1, make your bedtime a priority. I think it's much better for the body and for your cortisol and melatonin rhythm if you go to bed a little earlier and then wake up a little earlier. So an ideal time to go to bed is around 10 p.m. and then waking up between 6 and 7 a.m. and that'll get you a good 8 to 9 hours of sleep, which is usually that sweet spot for most people, especially when you're on a healing journey. You really want to prioritize sleep. And by the way, this can make a huge difference for weight loss. A lot of people are trying to lose weight by eating less and working out more, and this actually stresses out the body, produces more cortisol, and then especially if you're gaining weight around the middle, this is stress weight. So you really need to be more gentle with your body and to get good sleep, and you can still exercise but do it for shorter durations. Now the next thing is managing your stress during the day. So if you have stressful people in your life and you have stressful tasks in your life, you really need to take a look at that and see what is absolutely necessary. This might look like that if you have a friend group or a friend that stresses you out, then maybe you make some new friends. I have to be honest with you. Or maybe that means that you only say yes to those engagements when you absolutely feel your best, but you give yourself permission to say no and take time for yourself when you want to. This can also look like meditating. Now, I know that when you're stressed out, meditation is the last thing you want to do. Trust me, I've certainly been there myself. I have been a long time meditation want-to-be, and as I prioritize this in my life, diving into deeper and longer meditation has really helped me and my patients. So you can start with just 5 minutes a day, and you don't have to do anything fancy. Just give yourself the time to just breathe and be. Let your partner know, let the kids know that you need a little break. You can even do things like put on a hat if you have kids and play a game that's the time that mom has to herself, and they know that when the hat is on, now it's time for you to just relax and be. Another thing for stress is to make sure that when you sit down to eat, you are relaxed. So there's 2 ways, and this is going to be my third and final tip, that you can immediately impact your stress. And the first thing is deep breathing. So you've probably heard that before, but what you may not know is the reason this works is because when you breathe deep, you're actually activating the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve travels from your brain down the front of your throat through most of your visceral organs and into your gut. And when you breathe deep, you're activating that vagus nerve and you're sending a signal of safety both to your digestive system and to the brain. Now, my favorite way to activate the vagus nerve is to turn on some music and sing. Because it's located at the front of your throat, you can activate the vagus nerve by gargling or by singing. So crank it up in the car, play your favorite tune, and I'll have to add a fourth tip in here. This should have been the first thing I told you, is make sure no matter what that you are taking time for yourself to do what you love. So it doesn't matter if this is a walk in the woods. For me, it's horseback riding. For some of you, it might be yoga or art, but put that on the calendar and keep that date with yourself at least once a week. So love you guys. Hope this is helpful and talk to you soon. Subscribe to get more tips and leave me a comment in the comment section. I always love answering your questions and I'm always curious where you guys are getting stumped and how I can help.